Cameron Crowe. It's great to finally meet you, man.
Amazing. Great to be here.
Yeah, dude. I feel like I don't know, for me, and this is really bold of me to say, but I feel like we share quite a lot of similarities in terms of how we feel about music, how we've approached it in our lives, and I've been excited to meet you for a long time. So nice one.
Likewise. Will you wave the flag for all that we hold dear? A song that can take you to a certain place and
you know it.
Leave that feeling, linger in it, live in it. It's the best.
Because that song has energy. I just figured this out quite recently. I think I've always known it, but I never put it into words and translated from my brain to words the idea that music has the same amount of energy as a plant does. It's growing and it's constantly finding its purpose.
Absolutely. And it's all around you if you just open yourself up to it.
Yeah.
Nature is music. It's just the stuff that affects you and finds your heart.
Do you still have that moment where you're in an airport, like a waiting room, where you're walking through a terminal, you're in a car, someone's playing something and you're like, got to Shazam now, got to figure out what that is. You just always attuned to it?
Absolutely. What's wild to me is the music that happened 30, 40, 50 years ago is still kind of present. Mm. Whereas when I first started writing and doing some of the stuff that's described in the book, 40, 50 years earlier was like Al Jolson and like vaudeville and stuff. And it was long ago that happened, it seemed. But it's the power of songs, I think. It's the power of somebody that put words to music and created a feeling, and it's like you don't want to leave it. And more than ever, I think it's essential. And this is the world that you celebrate.
Are we lucky? Are we
We're
lucky?
So lucky.
Yeah, very fortunate to be able to make music an essential part of our life story. How you finding this whole song and dance? It's different, right? Putting a book out, is one thing to write it. That's a whole experience, and we'll talk a bit about that as well, about just what it takes to write about your life, what you learn from that. But then you get to come and hang out with people like me, and we get to ask you to sort of like dissect it even deeper and talk about the experience even deeper. So how does this feel, kind of, I suppose, quote unquote, promoting your life?
Well, I love being the interviewer. Like, that is one of my favorite things to do, is to like sit down with somebody who's inspired you and ask that certain question that makes them go, you know what? Let me tell you something. And it's all of a sudden you're speaking about just like essential personal stuff. Which
that
is
moment
so much.
when they go, I'm going to be very honest with you right now. I was like, we just had someone in the room just say that. And I'm like, okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
That I love. But the fact is that the book it's about a time that imprinted so heavily on me, like being a young person who's able to like walk through a door that's opened in this dressing room is Led Zeppelin. And there wasn't a million places where everybody was a market and everybody was writing or posting and stuff. It was really like Rolling Stone, Cream Magazine, a few other places. So you were the outlet for them to put their feelings out there. And if you were somebody like I was, a music fan and am, and you asked the right question that showed that you listened to their stuff, they opened the world up to you. And that was an amazing experience. And the book is a lot about that. And, you find your voice in the world, chasing the thing that inspires you. And to me, it was music and people, because I was kind of like a guy in a room alone a lot before that.
Yeah.
And this meant you could join little communities and spend a couple weeks with Bowie, or longer.
No, there is a sense of longing and running and trying to get away from your situation. I think that kind of is a thread through any kind of journey in the arts, or anyone who wants to be involved in the arts, this idea of like, where's the adventure? How do I distract myself away from this other shit? How do I immerse myself in my own imagination? And music obviously unlocks all of that, and then make it in just one big immersive experience for myself. And where does it begin? What's the original motivation for you to want to run into the arms of music and into the life stories of those people that make it?
It's a great question. We lived in the desert. We lived in a town called Indio, outside of Palm Springs.
I think most of the music world is familiar with that town now.
Yes, it's true.
I don't think that's a secret anymore.
At the time, it was like, we're going to be known for dates.
Right. We grow dates.
Forever. This is what, it's dates. And, turtles.
Now there's 6 dates over 2 weekends. Well attended.
Exactly. The date festival was the place, like they had some like pinball machines and stuff. Right. If the man from the future had come up to me and said, soon, everybody important in culture will be there at the date festival grounds, it'd be like, get out of here.
Stick around, Cameron. Your time will come. You'll be the king of this town one day. They'll all want to know where to get coffee, and you'll be like, I've been waiting for this moment.
See that shack? Bob Dylan will be standing there.
Yeah, exactly.
No. But yeah, and so you know, my mom, I wrote about her in Almost Famous, and that movie is a little bit about how rock was banned in our house. So late at night, you know, you get a transistor radio and you put it under your pillow and you listen to whatever radio station you could get, and the waves would come across the desert, and you'd hear like Buffalo Springfield, you'd hear like the Moody Blues, and it just all felt mystical and magical, and like a finger that was beckoning you to like follow that feeling. And I did.
This is where I got to put out the boomer exclamations right here. I got to make sure everybody understands going forward that there's going to be a little bit of like, don't you miss going on in this conversation. Now, it's not because I'm not present and don't love today. All of this is great.
Yeah.
But there is a moment in time where it wasn't available.
Yeah.
And you had to wait for it.
It's true.
And you had to really have your ears open at all times, wondering, is the next song going to be the song that changes my life?
Absolutely.
And I can remember, at least off the top of my head right now, half a dozen moments, one at my grandparents' house, one at my parents' house, moments where a DJ on the radio played something and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's called Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the world just changed.
And the world did change. These songs are diaries too, because there's kind of an imprint moment that happens. Like when you hear the right song at the right time, it kind of like galvanizes the way you felt. And I love the idea of going back, like you say, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Yeah. I can remember the exact moment and where I was, what I was wearing, and it was like, okay, that's different. That's going to be around. That's going to change me. And like letting the winds of the music that you love kind of send you in different directions is one of the great, you know, ways to live a life, I think. It's kind of how it worked out for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with great courage and risk-taking. I mean, you know, you look back on it now and you think, okay, 15-year-old gets to go and live out his dreams and travel the world and hang out with rock stars and write stories about it. And like, wow, who wouldn't want to do that? Okay, cool, of course. But a lot of fear wrapped up in that as well. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of pressure, a lot of unknowns. You're not emotionally mature enough to know what Jimmy Page is saying when he's saying it. He's saying 10 things at the same time. He's saying, I like you. He's also saying, I probably won't give you what you want, but I might, but I probably won't. But I might, but I probably won't. And you're like, what the fuck is this guy saying?
True, but the things that somebody like Jimmy Page allows you to see, if you're somebody who they've let into their little world, is amazing. You know, today there's a dressing room, you know, there's like 50 dressing rooms backstage for a band that's like pretty big.
Yeah.
At the time, there's one dressing room.
Because Led Zeppelin were building the modern business.
4 fucking guys in one room. Yes.
You know,
and
there was no
Led
business
Zeppelin.
until Led Zeppelin, really?
Yeah, exactly. So they're there in one room together, basically childhood pals.
Yeah.
Stale cheese, you know, wilted lettuce.
I love the way you described it as well.
them.
How like everyone's doing their thing, but Planty's just like grooving, doing Planty shit.
Yeah.
I love how Planty's always grooving.
Grooving, and again, one room, you know, and there's this bottle of Jack Daniels, and Paige grabs it and tips it back, and it's like iconic photo.
Yep.
But to have been in the room when that photo was taken is to know just a club, a very private club between people that spent all their time together.
All right, question for you, Led Zeppelin question for you. Okay, well, we're focused on this because you've seen it all. You've seen the people unveil themselves without realizing
Some of it.
Yeah, the Greg Orman, you know, conversation, very, very impactful at that moment in your life, and realizing that he was in the moment and probably unaware of the gravitas that you felt and Neil felt at that time.
Yeah.
Jimmy Page swinging from the Jack Daniels bottle, hard not to think he knows what he's doing.
Good point. Yeah. He would. Some of these people really, well, many of them know how to stage themselves.
Right.
For impact.
Right.
You don't just walk into a room and David Bowie's there going, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
He's positioned in a certain way under a red light with his yellowish hair and a blue hat, and you just kind of go, okay, that's David Bowie. You know?
Yeah.
There's a certain kind of theatricality, particularly with him, where he was in some ways the installation that is David Bowie. Yeah. And then in other ways, you know, he'll give you a ride home because you don't have a driver's license, and so he'll give you a ride home in a yellow VW, and you're on La Brea, you know, in Los Angeles, and it's 7 a.m. and, you know, school children are on their way to school in the other cars. Nobody knows it's Bowie. And he's going, look at this. All of this will be forgotten. Remember that. And I just felt, that he would say things like that just felt like a glimpse of the future. And usually they were. The music he would talk about, craft work and things like that. But when he said that to me, all of this will be forgotten, it's the one thing I think he got wrong, because he's not forgotten. And that music he made on that very day, not forgotten. Indelible and important for time and place and all of us, but quite a visionary to have some time with, for sure.
Greg Allman was right to some degree. You were a narc. You were sort of 15 to 18 years old being hustled into these rooms, and your innocence, whether you realized it or not, your naivety was probably, a part of what opened the door to all of this. Getting a lift with Bowie, he's not offering some 25-year-old hipster kid with a fucking recorder a lift back home. He's offering a 15-year-old because he needs a ride home.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, did you know at the time, were you present enough at the time to know that to some degree, the age and the way you were going about doing this was what was getting you these kind of amazing experiences and allowing people to sort of drop their guard a bit?
Great question. Here's what I knew. I knew that I had a chance to put somebody in the seat next to me and give them a front row seat along with me.
You were doing it for the fans.
Yeah, of which I was one. So I did not want to be the guy who opened up the magazine to see a story about somebody I liked and to hear about their life or their opinions. I wanted to be a fly on the wall and see what it was like in the room with some of these people who still mean so much to us. And that was fun for me. That was a fan's journey that I got to take. And you'd get letters back from people going, yeah, I listen to Kashmir in a different way now because I felt like I met them. And I felt like, and this is a little bit the way I was in my family, like, the peacemaker, the person that made sure everybody was happy. I liked being able to show a fan what I got to see and to make them happy.
I think we're both people pleasers. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a time to be critical. There's a time to be tough. I've been a director and had to be all of these things. But as a young journalist, which was the time that I wanted to write about in this book, because to write about things that happened for me as a director and with me, it's like that kind of is another chapter.
2.0, yeah.
And it's a blast, and it was amazing, and it is amazing. But this was a very special time that imprinted in such an important way that I still listen to music in the way I learned to listen to it then, which is with your full heart, and throw yourself into the arms of what a song or an artist can do, and take the journey with that artist. Like if they made an album that didn't thrill you, don't bail. Stick with it, man. They'll be back,
right?
They'll be back. The big journey that you take is how to be a fan, I feel.
Well, I got to thank you for this, because this is how I've sort of, being an artist and being someone who's made music throughout my whole life, but finding myself in a situation where I'm on the other side. So for me, making music is the directing for you, right? But I'm in this whole thing of talking to people, and I'm curious about this.
Which is why they open up to you.
I appreciate
you are
that.
Curious,
right?
And
right.
you care.
But you also allowed people like myself to be more comfortable in the fact that I don't really have a particularly strong critical muscle when it comes to art. And this, people often say this, but I can tell the honest truth. Even when I'm at home, I just don't listen to what I don't like. Yeah. I don't put something on and just be like, that's fucking shit. Like, it's just like, it's not how I'm built. And so Almost Famous as a movie, that moment when you sit down and go, how does music, that last question is such a pure and beautiful question from a fan to an artist that I always remembered that. And whenever I felt down about my approach, I was like, no, there's room for people like us.
Absolutely. It's funny, when Almost Famous first came out, there were quite a number of people that were like, "Oh, come on,
This isn't Disneyland,
There's
bro.
the cocaine.
Yeah.
I know that stuff goes on." And, that movie was about a 15-year-old falling in love with music. And, if you need to see that, watch it on a double bill with Cocksucker Blues.
Yeah,
you'll get it all.
Yeah, you get it all.
You'll get it all.
Yeah.
But I don't think Keith Richards or somebody like that picked up a guitar for the first time because it would mean, oh, I'll get this lifestyle where I can be famously, decadent and like I get blow and all this stuff. No, he picked it up because he heard a record that said, you can't say no to this feeling and I've got to do it myself. So Almost Famous was a little bit about that, like first love with music. And people were like, oh, everybody's singing along with Elton John on a tour bus. Yeah, like that happened. And
did that happen?
Yeah, it happened a number of times. And we found ourselves on a bus with U2 at one point. And
they wanted to redo the scene?
Bono and the Edge pulled out guitars and started playing Kentucky Woman by Neil Diamond, saying, we do this all the time.
Yeah.
And
there isn't a scene in any movie that you two don't want to own in some capacity, just FYI.
All roads lead to that.
I say that with love, man. I've been in a van going down the Vegas Strip with Bono and Edge, and there's Edge is strumming an acoustic guitar, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "I still have that film I'm looking for. Play the fucking song."
I saw you get the song.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, how often are we going to be here when you got to get out? He's literally on the Strip. He's like, "Oh, I suppose I could do a few chords," I'm like, "What the fuck, man?"
I love that you jumped right into it. There was no tiptoeing. It was like, here's what I want. Here's what I see. Bring it. And they did.
You're a fan and I'm a fan, and there's something that comes along with that, was this, and this idea of sort of the protective nature of that relationship. And in recent years, I've certainly learned to let artists go where they want to go and not try to prevent them from doing that out of some sort of like desire to want them to be okay. But I do get the feeling in this book that you had to constantly figure out, like, do I mop this up for them or do I let this occur exactly as it's happened? Like, there is a line when you're a fan and you have a job to be objective where you have to ask yourself, what is the right path here?
The right path is to capture a feeling. And I feel that's true in the movies I've been lucky enough to make too. It's like, know the feeling that you're after. And there was a very specific feeling around each band or artist. Jim Croce is a guy that you hear a lot now. He's like from the early 70s, one of those singer-songwriters. He died young. This was a feeling that my day and a half around this guy really stayed with me for a long time because he was just starting to become successful. And it was a glimpse, it was a snapshot of somebody who had dreamed and dreamed and dreamed and failed. And boom, here it was. And his first T-shirt came in with his face on the cover, or the face on the front of it, like a rubbery face. And it was all kind of happening for this guy. And he felt like the skies were parting. My dream is going to come true. See ya. Stay in touch. A year and a half later, he was dead. But I never forgot that feeling, that elixir of music was going to take him on that ride. And I wanted to write about that feeling and did in the book because it was important because you were lucky enough to be in a place that changed the way you listened to his music and other music, write what happened. You don't have to mop up or anything. It's just kind of like be sharp, ask the right questions, and then know when to shut up and watch and feel it. So that's like one of the great, that's bliss for a writer, to get the access to do that. You get access, and you do the same thing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a blast.
We talk on a day when you talked about when Jim passed away, and we talk on a day where we've lost D'Angelo.
Amazing.
We passed away today, and we found out. And
shock.
Do you feel like you've had a chance in your life to tell musicians what their music has meant to you?
Yes, I've done it in how I've written about them, and I've done it in the way that this is one of the cool things that happened is I was able to go back and ask to use some of the music from the artists that had been so cool to me as a little guy. And to a person, including Led Zeppelin, they would give us the music, not charge us a whole lot, and appreciate the fact that we let the songs play. Because there's a lot of times that you hear a little piece of a song in a movie and then it disappears. But I always like to use it so that it stretches across a scene and you get to live in the song with some visuals too. And that was always a great thing that grew out of that original thing that I write about in the book. It was like there's a relationship that happens where somebody looks at you and says, "You understand my music." And then later you can come back and say, "I understand your music, and here's how I used it in a movie." And everybody sings along with it on a bus,
Yeah.
And that little game has been fun over the years.
One key scene, because people talk about the Almost Famous scene a lot, but the one that always comes up to me in the montage of great scenes, whenever there's an Academy Awards montage and they want to sort of show the magic of cinema, it's the free falling scene with Tom Cruise from Jerry Maguire. It comes up a lot because I think it really captures that pure human experience of feeling something, sadness or joy, in that case joy, a sense of absolute freedom and just looking for the perfect song. And along comes the perfect song. He doesn't know the words really, but he knows the chorus.
That's the best part, like winging it through the part of the song that you don't really know what they're saying, but free fall.
Yeah, I'm just trying to dive in. How many times? And by the way, if you're watching that as a kid or a younger person, you have immediate cringe withdrawal because that's how your parents sang along to every song on the radio.
Absolutely. And if you look at the cars that are next to you driving around, they're
doing
doing it too.
I know.
Okay, you didn't know the verse, but you know the chorus.
So how did you get Tom to do it so effectively? Did he not know the song? Was it method acting?
One take. Did
he know
knew the
song?
run of songs?
But he didn't really know the song?
No, he knew Petty. He's a Petty guy. He's a big music fan.
Yeah.
He didn't know Graham Parsons, for example, or some of the other stuff that was in there. But I just remember, like, he is such a let's not talk about it. Let's just go do it guy. And so we had already had a long day, and then we just had that one piece where he was going to be doing it. And he was like, let's go right over there. Let's drive. Let's do it. And that what he gives you in that scene is him. That's the enthusiasm of loving music. I talked to him the other day. I hadn't talked to him in a while. I talked to him the other day. He was talking about going to see Bruce Springsteen and was geeking out over the fact that Bruce did Secret Garden live. And I'm just thinking, like, yes, this is the same guy that was in that car singing Free Fall, and he's, now it's a Bruce song, but he's singing along,
This is the Tom I want to meet. I want to meet Tom who went to Oasis. Like,
Yes.
I love Tom who runs, like, iconically through movies, but I want to meet Tom who is fucking singing along to Live Forever.
You should. That's Tom. It's the coolest.
Yeah, right. You worked with some of the best, man, and I feel like maybe this kind of masterclass that you achieved by talking to some of the toughest perhaps set you up to be able to deal with actors on set and speak that language in a unique way. Because when you're in a motel room with Greg Allman, it's a very different experience than you're not friendly at that point. You have to earn his trust, and even then, when you got called back at 2 a.m., it's like, I don't even know if I did that. So, I mean, it really was like, in terms of speaking the language, the artist's language, you were given like a degree at a very young age, right?
See, I was really scared when Greg Allman called up and said, get back up to my room with those tapes of all your interviews.
Oh, yeah. You're so high. You're so high. You're crashing so fast.
I was in the middle of recapping the amazing interview we'd gotten earlier that night, and something happened. I didn't know what it was. I was shaking in the elevator. I just did the audiobook reading for the Uncool, and I cried reading it because I had to stop because the fear it's still there.
It's trauma.
Yeah, because you're 15, the guy's a hero. You've been a kid in a candy store for like 10 days straight, interviewed everybody, asked them the toughest questions. And the night before you're going to leave, the trap door opens and you fall. And it was emotionally violent and still there. And of course, it was great to see him 10 years ago before he died, and what passed between us. Though he wrote about it in his book, kind of as a tour bus, like, jokey story.
It was all a joke.
What passed between us when I was able to see him again was the knowledge back and forth. And it was one of the most beautiful unspoken conversations, a telepathic thing. And the only thing that came out of me at the time was, thank you for Almost Famous. And he said, you're welcome. That was all we really said about it. But we knew the heart of Almost Famous is the heartbreak that happened to the kid in a similar situation. And without that moment, maybe there's not this movie that he had seen and liked. And so that was a pretty poignant thing. But I don't know. I'm glad it happened because it prepared me for what life really could be like, as all of my favorite songs would capture scary things sometimes. And that was extremely scary because I didn't know if I was going to get beaten up. or what was going to happen. And what happened was he took the tapes and then a couple days later made sure I got them back and didn't quite know why he had them. And I think looking back,
his missus would have said it, right? His missus would have said, because she knew.
I would hope so. She
knew what you were walking into based on what you wrote in the book.
She was scared shitless too. She was in like a bed across the room, kind of like this.
Yeah.
But you know what, Greg Allman, you don't sing like that. You don't play like that if you don't have access to that level of pain. And the pain cuts in every direction.
Oh yeah, you it's not a tool. It's you can just pull out and use and spare people from. If he's in pain and you're the last person who brought that pain, you brought the pain up. It's clear to me from what you wrote, you uncovered some things for him that later in life he might have been grateful for, but in that moment in time, you brought him back to the pain and he wanted to punish you for it. Right?
Yes. And the fact that I had not done drugs with him or around him, I think maybe he made him wonder later, like, well, is he a cop?
Yeah.
Is he a cop?
Yeah, this all seems weird.
But, he had told me in the interview earlier that night that, like, yeah, it was really fun how my brother Dwayne would sneak me into clubs at 16 when I was underage. So a couple hours later, he's saying, like, you're 16.
Yeah.
You're 16. I'm like, you were 16 when your brother snuck you into clubs. Like,
I thought when I read that,
see your ID, man.
Yeah, but and he still made you sign a contract. But I loved that you said that, and I thought at the time when I read that, I was like, "Fucking hell, the onions on this kid." To have the presence of mind to be sitting opposite this person. And you're right, it is trauma. I'm sorry, it is. Anything when you're 16 and you're faced with that level of shock is going to leave a lasting impression that requires work to get through or better understand. It ain't just a story to tell. So you're facing off in this situation, and to have the presence of mind and the courage to turn around and say, hang on, what's the difference between your brother helping you out and you helping me out? Like, you're just paying it forward, man. Like, what the fuck?
This is why life is the best writer, because I couldn't go to sleep. I sat in the San Francisco airport waiting to, like, missing flights, not wanting to go home. And who walks by? My sister, the stewardess, Cindy, flight attendant for, I guess, Western Airlines, sees me crumpled up in a seat. And she was like, yes, that's you living your life, not trying to please mom. You're out there doing your thing.
Fault. Poor mums. It's always mom's fault, right? For a period in time between about 15 and 21, it's all mom's fault. That's what you get for nurturing children, right? I'm going to leave you in the most horrible way. And I'll come back, but for 3 years, I hate you.
If you just let us listen to the Doors, everything would be different. She was great. Cindy was the one that gave me the secret records to begin with. And so she kind of rescued me. And that was another thing that people said about the movie, where they were like, oh, it was fake when the sister finds him in the airport.
That's wild. That really happened.
No, it's not fake. It was a life raft.
The only artistic license that I mean, there's obviously artistic license to any great retelling of any story, but I loved how Billy Crudup comes to the house at the end. I thought that was cool because the phone call was powerful, but it's almost like the way you wrote it was almost like underwhelming. Like, I've just been through all this trauma and you're telling me with a quick 2-minute phone call that everything's cool?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
I know.
I thought my world was over and you're telling me there's a FedEx package coming? Like, what is this planet?
I know.
But the fact that Billy Crudup knocks on your door and comes in, and he's so good in that role. I mean,
he's so good.
He just plays that narcissistic, like, well-meaning fucking crazy person so well.
Yeah, but it recognizes truth. So in the scene, this is why Billy is so wonderful. It's like, he gets a half smile, and the half smile is like, okay.
Yeah.
I needed to get slapped around a little bit, but okay. All right. Bring it.
Yeah.
And he also does a thing as he's leaving in a cab that he called and apropos, the great Robert Redford, who we just lost. Yes. He did a Redford, which is like, you look back, you turn away, and then you look back one more time. That's the Redford. And he fucking dealt out the Redford. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is good.
He got it.
This is good. And I just watched him a little bit on the morning show the other day. And it's like the same guy, man. He just threads that needle.
He does that thing. He looks at the camera and he goes, yes.
That was a pretty good crude up there.
There's that little kiss of his teeth and that little cheeky smile. And you're like, oh, fuck, you've got secrets, you bastard.
Yeah. And you feel good about your secrets too.
You know, the casting is so good, man. I mean, obviously Kate Hudson has achieved what Kate Hudson has achieved entirely on her own terms, but everyone's got to get their breakout moment, and Almost Famous was hers. I'd imagine for her at that time, coming from the kind of background that she did, and everyone talks about sort of nepotism these days, and what obviously it's a reality that, you know, let's be honest with you, opportunity creates opportunity, and so it's totally fine.
Well said.
People want to create a term for the internet, go for it. It makes sense. Give it a category, and let everyone fight it out and justify themselves.
Yeah.
But back then, it was even tougher and stranger in a weird way because it hadn't made it to the internet.
Yeah.
She probably couldn't even get through a casting door because she was Goldie Hawn's daughter to some degree, I would imagine, or be taken seriously in the roles she wanted. That's what I'm guessing. You tell me what it was like casting Kate Hudson in a role like that, given what was laid out for her in life.
So this is a pretty interesting story. Like sometimes things break your way casting a movie, and everything happens the way it should usually, but sometimes it doesn't. This was a case where the gods were smiling on us. The woman that was supposed to play the mother dropped out. Frances McDormand steps in. Okay, come on. The actress who
I'm
was
sorry,
playing,
sir. We no longer have broccoli, but would you like some fried chicken instead? You know I would.
Thank you
very much. I'm
Thank
hungry.
you to the Restaurant of Life.
Thank you.
That was incredible. She had sent a note saying, "I would love to be in your love letter to music," because I had written a note saying, "Here's my love letter to music." So that was an amazing day. But the actress who was playing Penny Lane got hit with the feeling of like, I need to do independent film, and I need to kind of direct myself and do my own. And she was very passionate about it, but we'd been working on it for months. And
have you ever said who that was? Is she a known actor?
Sarah Polley, I think it's well known.
Yep.
I'm a big fan.
Yep.
She's incredible.
Yep.
Smart enough to know that this wasn't right for her at that time. But to us, it was like, this is really bad for the movie. Kate Hudson had come in because I had seen her in an audience at a play, and she just had this spirit that just went in waves around her. She would say hi to somebody. I think she had barely started acting. She would say hi to somebody, and like in her wake were just these people who like loved her and were smiling. It's like, okay, well, she's got that
The charisma,
that elixir.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, this is she should play my sister, the one that gives me the secret stash of albums, and she has this one line that was really important to me, which is like, "One day, you'll be cool." And Kate did this in her audition, Zane. It was like, oh, that's it. You can't do the movie without her doing that line. So Sarah Polley drops out, and then we talked about some other people and did some auditions, and then it became clear that like Kate should be given a shot. Kate, who was now getting bigger offers, our movie was a little bit on the rocks, and I kept hearing reports like they would offer her bigger parts for other movies, and they would say, that movie's, they're not making it. They don't have the cast. So like, come and be in this bigger part over here. And Kate would always say, "Nope, I want to be in Cameron's little music movie." And so her loyalty was incredible. So she did like 4 auditions, and by the last one, it was just clear. She put on a coat that was kind of like the Penny Lane coat that we ended up having in the movie. And it was like, there she is.
Yeah. I found her.
And the ripple effect of that was so huge. And I realized the movie worked in a very significant way because Kate Hudson's loyalty as a person allowed her to play the part in which her loyalty made Penny Lane's loyalty to music and love was the soul of the movie. So what Kate naturally had,
it's so true because
made it all work.
When you're watching that film, you really do get a sense that even beyond the character, she is guiding this thing to success. Like she is literally guiding this thing. Everyone is in the film. I mean, everyone shows up and just, you talk about a little music movie and stuff, but that movie changed your life and gave you a whole new journey to go on. I mean,
yeah. And when it came time to write something just for me, because Jerry Maguire had come out and had been, a big success. And we were never sure about that because we used to sit in the room and the marketing people would say like, well, it's sports and romance. I don't know if those two things go together. This is one of those movies where, I don't know. But then people showed up and really took it to heart. So I had a shot to do a movie that was from the heart for sure. Just like if I can, this is the one time I can do this movie. And it was almost famous. And it's still the thing I hear about the most. It's the most personal. It was the least equipped to head into a busy marketplace of anything I've done. And it's a thing that's been treasured by people like me who love music and saw something that they felt about music. And not to be the guy on a book tour that says, in my book, but the book was the same thing. I didn't write this book to even be published. It was like for me. And it was about that same thing of like, I want to write it because it matters to me.
It's for me, and for everybody else. I'm going to be really honest with you, Cameron, and I'm not going to bullshit you because you can't, you just seem like an unbullshittable kind of guy.
I haven't read it. No,
no, I haven't read all of it, and I'll tell you why. Because
it's okay.
No, I tell you why. I've probably read half to 2/3 of it. But here's the annoying thing: when you get given a book and you're going to talk to someone about their book, you can't help but speed read through it because you want to learn everything you can to make the most of the time you get to spend with the person. But it's not the most enjoyable actual opportunity to read a book. And I've done that with books.
I bet.
And I said to my wife last night, she was like, how you doing? And I was like, I'm flying through this thing, but I'm going to stop because I actually want to read this now from the beginning.
Killer.
Top to bottom again. So I know a lot of what's going on in here, obviously. Yeah. But I want an experience with this that's mine and doesn't ladder up to this. This could happen with or with no book, I think. But I want to have this with me.
This is why you were the guy. You first of all, you tell me that, and I go, that was the dream, because I wanted to be like music. I wanted to be like you can hear a track here or there, but most of all, and I felt this with the Patti Smith book, Just Kids. It's not a coffee table book that sits there to look like it's important. It's a book for a backpack. It's a book to like pull out and read a little bit maybe and get that feeling. And that's what it was written for. Like I've always loved books like that. I still have books that I want close and they'll be on my desk because I want to flip through them and just get that feeling. Joan Didion's written books like that. Yeah. Richard Curtis's screenplay book, I kind of flip through sometimes, just go, damn, he's good at this shit. I'll joust with that.
He is.
But yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be something that made you feel like music can make you feel. And by the way, it's about that very thing.
I'm going to own it like an album. I mean, you can see all the various pages and stuff that I've gone through as I'm trying to figure out the stories I want to touch on. But I'm like, I don't want to. I got to honor this thing from the top to the bottom because it is an amazing journey, and I know that there's been trauma in your life, like in everybody's life. There is things you have to go through that carve you out of stone and set you on your life's path. But there's something that seems to be a through line here, which is like you like redemption stories.
Yeah.
You like redemption stories. Jerry Maguire redemption story. Yeah. Almost a lot of the writing, a lot of the articles that you wrote, ultimately, finding these characters, even the Eagles, dismissed as this kind of like almost a prototype boy band. And you're like, no, I'm going to go live with them. I'm going to show you how talented they are. There's a redemption in that even. What is it about that kind of storytelling that you're drawn to?
It's the wounded optimist is one of my favorite characters.
All right, Crowe. All right, you get a bomb for that. That's a good one. The wounded optimist. Holy shit.
Because aren't all optimists wounded?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The knives are out.
So why not make that your hero or heroine? And it just seems like that's the thing you need to get through sometimes. I feel bad, like just talking about Smells Like Teen Spirit a minute ago. Yeah. I was living in Seattle during that time, and I never got to meet Kurt, but he floated through, so many different parts of that city in our lives, and there for sure. And I always think if he'd given it one more day, it might have been a different day that he woke up in, and he'd still be with us.
It's like Neil says, like if I had spoken to him, I just in your doc. He said I just would have said stop. Yeah. I'd have said just cancel everything. I mean, I loved that Pearl Jam movie you made. I thought it was great.
Thank you.
I've watched that a lot.
Cool.
That's a real
Thanks.
traveler for me because I love the band, obviously.
Well, that's the artist from the artist's point of view, which is how I always wanted to write the stories. It's like get their point of view across because their point of view made the music that makes you interested in writing or reading the story. So
Yeah.
the Pearl Jam documentary was like get out of the way, watch them, let them talk. Stone Gossard is one of the funniest guys around.
So
Let
dry.
Stone talk.
So
Dry as the Sahara.
Matt Cameron obviously has one of the nicestly appointed houses I've ever seen in my life. Pure exposed wood.
It's important that we know that.
Like big panes of glass and lots of foliage. I'm obsessed with Matt Cameron's house back like 20 years ago.
And Eddie, kind of seeing his original tape with the phone number on it and just like saying, what if we call that number? Who'd answer?
He's so deep, isn't he? I mean, you ask him just the most simple thing and he will make sure that he goes and searches for the one unique observation that really moves him. He's constantly searching for what moves him.
Lover of music.
Lover of
excellence.
life.
Lover of life.
I'm glad you brought that up. And there's a whole other book that you need to write. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that selfishly, which is all about the journey you went on after you started to mature, you grew up, you realized your voice, you started making movies and whatnot, singles, Seattle, obviously touching back in with Seattle during the Pearl Jam documentary. Seattle as a time in the early 90s gave us some of the most exciting, deep and emotional music in my lifetime. What has occurred since
Same
then?
here.
What has occurred since then is nothing but heartbreaking. With the exception of a few bands and a few artists that continue to strive forward and live life, we've lost some greats, and some greats way past that time. I mean, losing Chris just... I still cannot get my head around it. I still can't get my head around it.
I'm not over it.
Yeah, I can't get my head around it at all. And so, looking back on that time that you were there and you captured such a singular snapshot with singles. You really did. You took the bands that were moving the needle and you gave them a safe place to tell their story, albeit tongue-in-cheek. Right? Which is important because everyone else was telling the wrong story.
Yeah, well,
What was that like, that experience at that time?
I had come from Los Angeles, and it was kind of the hair band era was still lingering in Los Angeles, and I felt like, I don't know, I feel when I first started going up to Seattle, there was a radio station where you could hear like Junior Well, you'd hear blues, you'd hear gospel, you'd hear Mudhoney, all together. And I just thought, oh, this is Mecca. This is incredible. I want to write a movie where this is the soundtrack. And maybe no one will ever know how great these bands are. But like I do. So I want to make this like I love Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee movie. And I was like, well, this is my Do the Right Thing. I get to put my music in and like people talk to the camera. And so part of the gift of that was we could give these bands that didn't have much exposure outside of Seattle some exposure. So like let's use the movie to be a radio station for everybody. And the interesting thing was they all needed a job in some way or another. So they all had jobs around the movie or in the art department. And it was such a wonderful community.
So everyone was employed making the movie as well as being in the movie?
Jeff and Stone, Jeff Ament was working on the art department and Eddie was writing songs. And,
Okay, I found this on the web for when was employed making the movie as well as being in the movie. Check it out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suri.
I will do that.
We appreciate it, Suri,
Yeah.
joining in and having and playing a nice little role there.
The music means something to Siri too.
You
from
know
this
what,
era.
Cameron? I take it as a compliment. This conversation is so enthralling that even AI would like to be involved in it. We've finally cracked the code between humanity and AI. I feel like
Check it out.
This is the moment where the Terminators lose. We realize the only thing we have to do to combat AI successfully is be fucking interesting.
And it all happened here today, right now.
right here, right now. Another first for Crowe.
Whoa.
Another first for Crowe, everybody.
Man.
So Eddie's writing songs, Jeff's painting things.
And we made the movie, and the studio, Warner Brothers, saw it at the time and just said, "Well, this really isn't.
No way.
This isn't.
No way.
This isn't something. You know,
ain't
something.
happening.
Where's Billy Crystal? Where's like this? There's something missing here.
Could you put a Batman in it?
There needs to be something more. Let's put it on the shelf." And so we didn't have a release date for it for a long time, and then Smells Like Teen Spirit happened.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the kids of the executives who'd shelved the movie were like, "Hey, do you have a movie with like Pearl Jam and maybe Nirvana in it? And it's like, yes, we do.
Amazing.
And they wanted to call it "Come as You Are" and all that stuff. And at that point,
that's rough.
Kurt had said after giving us demos from Nevermind to
Yeah.
use in the movie, like, we don't want to give our stuff to a movie.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they pulled out.
They were in fight or flight.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
But everybody else stayed in, and it ended up kind of coming out. And some people felt like, oh, well, they just went out last weekend and made a movie.
You can't win.
But it's like, no, it kind of takes years. So these jokes about Big in Seattle were funny then. Now they're deeply ironic, and you know. So anyway, I'm glad the movie lives as a snapshot of that time, because there they are.
So many fucking amazing.
I just want to say one thing.
Yeah, please.
Chris Cornell was a major inspiration to me personally, saying, write this thing from your heart. I will help wherever I can, and gave us, like one day slipped us a cassette with Seasons and all of this Spoon Man, all of this stuff that he had done just for fun to like slip to us. It was, just striking in every way. So Seasons lives as one of the great records ever, which was just kind of a joke. He said he gave it to us as a joke. And that's how brilliant Chris Cornell is and will always be, because that's the shit.
It's in my top 10.
Yeah, no doubt.
Songwriting wise, I put that next to anything. Chris just he wrote from a place that kind of made it less scary for all of us. He
Well said.
He made melancholy and sadness and depression and loneliness and those things we all feel translatable. I could sort of understand what it felt like I was okay with how it felt once I heard Chris's songs.
Yeah.
And Kurt was the same. And that time was, we got real writers who were unafraid.
Yeah.
Just unafraid.
Yeah. From the heart.
Really.
Not a pose. Not a Jesus Christ pose.
Like
not a pose.
Like he was good at that though, wasn't he?
He was. We knew we wanted Soundgarden. Love Soundgarden. Viva Soundgarden. And they were going to perform in the movie along with Alice in Chains, who were, gave us an amazing live piece.
And also Wood.
And Wood is
being an
so
all
good.
Fucking time great.
It's killer. And to have Jimi Hendrix on the album too, it's just like a meeting of the Seattle, I don't know, the spirit warriors. And anyway, so Chris, the day came where we were gonna do Soundgarden in this club, and Chris came up to me and said, "So, do you want shirtless Chris Cornell or Chris Cornell with a shirt?" We're like, fuck, man, shirtless Chris Cornell, come on. And he's like, okay, did it. But I love it.
He was so funny.
He had the foresight to know there was a choice to be made. And,
he played with it all. He knew.
He played with it all.
He knew. Man. He was a prankster too. I remember when
love him.
First time I ever interviewed him, I was so in awe of him. It was Super Unknown just come out. It was in Auckland. They were headlining the big day out. Fucking, it was crazy. Like Urge Overkill, Smashing Pumpkins, Breeders, and Soundgarden were the 4 international bands on our first ever major international festival for a long time. And I interviewed him, and it was just his hair was beautifully short and spiky. He just looked fucking impeccable. I was smoking back then. I offered him a cigarette, and he was like, "No, I actually just quit." And I immediately just thought, "Man, maybe
I got to quit too.
Maybe I should quit." And it's the first time I'd ever thought about quitting smoking because Chris Cornell had quit. And the interview finished, and I was like, that might be my last cigarette. I was that impressionable and that in love with him.
Wow.
I was like, that might be my last cigarette to my producer, and he was like, "You're fucking joking. He's smoking one outside the hotel right now as we speak." He was a prankster, man. Whatever he could do to kind of like make it not so serious.
Yeah.
Obviously, life was super serious, for him as a writer like that to go through that.
And he was helping out other bands too. I remember him calling at one point and saying, "You got to get into the Smashing Pumpkins. We played a show with the Smashing Pumpkins. They should be in your movie."
Yeah.
And
you were like, "Nope, they're from Chicago." See, no, I'm joking.
No,
I know they were.
But then we have Paul Westerberg and
Yeah.
So no, it was Chris is very important to this moment and beyond.
You know, you had a really impactful moment as well in recent years where, you know, you got a chance to kind of extend that love you have for writing, that original love you have for writing into you know, with Harry. I mean, you got to spend some time with Harry. And I'd love to know sort of like, not contrast is the wrong word, but just where the differences were and how it felt writing from inside that experience versus what it was like writing from inside the sports arena with Led Zeppelin.
Well, Harry is like a brilliant student at your college. He has studied the right amount of stuff and left enough for him to bring as an original artist, but he studied the history. He made friends with Glenn Frey of the Eagles. He learned a little bit from all of these things. What I got for Harry is he is as smart as he is inspired. And the two hold hands
Beautifully said.
brilliantly in Harry. And you can hear it in his records. He picks and chooses beautifully, but it's him. So I just think he's been brilliant about learning what came before and bringing it into the future in such a soulful way. I mean, you go see him live, and his walk-in music is incredible. It ends with like flamenco sketches, Miles Davis. And guess what? Guess what? They're all digging it, and that audience is probably a little young for somebody to have come in and say like, check out flamenco sketches. But Harry did that.
But when you're in the room with Harry and you're seeing how it's all, because obviously, I mean, he had the whirlwind of all whirlwinds, you know, joining that band at a young age, ridiculously short amount of time, kind of the Beatles manuscript, really, the playbook, you know, get it done.
You bet.
And done.
Yeah.
And you saw the way that like musicians were dealing with that level of pressure and fame and attention and love, because it is a form of love.
Absolutely.
When you were young in those rooms, and then you see how it's happening. Is it the same? Is it different? Is it tougher? What do you see with some altitude, some wisdom, and some empathy?
I think there now is help that's available for people that are honest about something that's troubling them about their success or whatever. As recently as Singles era, there was not that level of help. So you did get Lane Staley losing some of these people. And not just the people you know. There were other people on the outskirts that did not make it because they were close to the flame and had nobody to really give them some good help. Now I think that's available, and that's really good. Harry was so smart about his own emotion. I remember he was going through something one night, and he was recording, and he went in and had all the lights turned off, and he went in and sang a song that he had written that's never come out, that was so beautifully and honestly raw and aching. And I think he did it just for him. I think he did it for therapy. And it was fucking amazing. And who knows if it'll ever come out. But that's the guy that I saw who was a very young man traversing very tough territory in a way that was kind and inspired.
Who do you wish that you had met and talked to?
Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye was the one that got away. I love Marvin Gaye. We've been trying to do a movie of Marvin's life for a while, which is a little bit like kind of pulling the sword from the stone. It's a tough one. Maybe it's...
I've heard whispers about things in production or not in production for a while. It feels like that's a tough one to get over the
Then
line.
it gets close, and then it doesn't happen both either in my hands or other people's hands. It's almost like the spirit of Marvin isn't ready to like let that drop yet.
Yeah.
But Marvin, I would have done a really good interview with Marvin. A friend of mine got to interview him, and he was so mellow. You know, after being the great soul star of so many hits, he was. They showed up to the interview. He was so mellow. I think he had a joint that he fell asleep.
That's happened to me before too. I've had someone
He fell asleep. My friends are like, "What? Do we pack up the thing and go?" I guess so. Marvin is resting deeply, and they left. But that level of just like being in the pocket of your group so much. Well, there's a scene that was an outtake from Almost Famous that was like kind of a tribute to that, where Stillwater are doing an interview at a radio station and the DJ falls asleep, so they just end up riffing on all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And
I remember the first time it ever happened to me, man. I was mortified. I was just like, did I bore somebody to sleep here? What's going on? And then I realized, no, they are real fucking high on drugs.
They were going to sleep whether you were there or not. You were just passing by. You were passing by.
Totally. I was laughing if I hit that Bill Hicks thing. Real fucking high on drugs. I can't wait to see the Joni Mitchell doc.
It's a
or the
feature.
movie, I should say.
It's
Feature.
a movie.
Yeah, I should say feature. Yeah.
I think you'll like it. I mean,
I know you can't say much about it, man,
Yeah.
but I'm excited to see it. I really am. And I mean, just the fact that Joni has said yes
yeah.
and has worked with you. I know you're very close with her, but man, you know she doesn't fuck around.
She doesn't. And if you're a young songwriter coming up, or not so young, it's been and hopefully we'll use some of it in the movie, but it's absolutely thrilling to see her writing notebooks, because to make these songs feel so effortless and deeply resonant, she puts a lot of work into it. And you see early versions of stuff where it's like most people would stop right there. Like, I'm good. Right up here, I'm good. But then it keeps going. And it gets deeper and more refined and funnier. And then at a certain point, it's done. And you just see the journey of an artist that takes it, knows when it's right, and doesn't stop until it lands in that place that's right for her. And then she said she puts it through a prism of like, have I done anything like this before?
That's at the end? Wow.
And if the answer is yes, you won't hear it. So that is the complete difference from most people who are counseled or feel inside like, okay, I'm very successful now. That's the world saying this is how we want you. So I'm going to stay right here. She's the opposite. She's like, I got to move on.
Got to move. Well,
So
I mean,
that-
her songs literally tell those stories all the time.
Yeah. Well, one of the gifts of the movie, I think, will be there'll be songs that you never realized were available to you all along. And now you can go back and see the stuff that's at the corners of her albums that she worked so hard on that are as good and as often even more resonant as the stuff you know.
That's why I love Brandy so much, because she was the perfect person to kind of guide Joni
Perfect.
back into this, because she writes from a similar dedicated point of view. She's got to cover new ground. I was joking with Brandy. I was actually on the Puget Sound with Brandy the other day. We were fishing. It was lovely. And she was, we were talking, and I told her how Joni had given me one of the greatest, shortest jokes of all time at the Hollywood Bowl Show, where she said, God is dead. Nietzsche. Nietzsche is dead. God.
And got a huge laugh.
The greatest laugh ever. Like, everyone just processed that for a split second and then just fell over laughing, because it was just like beautifully cruel, like all great jokes are.
Brandy is a fan in all the most amazing ways. Brandy goes for deeper water while creating a safe place around her heroes. And it's great. And she's done it more than just with Joni. When I first met Brandy, she was doing a duet with Chris Christopherson for a Joni birthday event. And you know, she just has a way of kind of holding the hand of somebody who's been important to her and letting
Hugely
them be
empathetic.
important again.
Who else is going to sing those Soundgarden songs? Right.
Amazing to think about, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that's why she's going.
Let's yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I'm ready.
I'm ready for it as well. I have so many things to ask you, and there's 3 things in my mind right now. I can't remember any of them because I've got so many things that they cancel each other out. I'm going to kick myself the minute we stop. But that just means we have to talk again.
Great. Love it.
So, you know, you don't have to talk about nothing. Your art speaks for itself. This you had to talk about. Sorry, under contract. But everything else, you know, when you make the movie, you do whatever you're going to do. If you choose to elaborate, I would love to welcome you back anytime. It's been such a joy talking
Thanks,
with
man.
you, man.
Likewise. Absolutely.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.